DarkDox Digest, January 13th, 2025. On today's episode, we're going to be covering the continuing LA fires, climate change, arsonist, and there are just so many pedos. I'm your host, Christian Coffins. Oh, happy Monday, everyone. I figured out how to do that transition stuff a little bit. How do you like that? I am recording live here from the Sky Tower at SeaWorld. No, I just filmed that about a year ago during one of the Hallow Scream events, and it was just the perfect night to, get a nice little blimp cam for you guys. I feel like a pimp on a blimp, like, what's his name? Anyway, we got a lot to cover today. I am your host, Christian Coffins, and let's jump right into it. I want to test out, I got some of these clips on Gavin Newscum.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup, and then the Super Bowl, and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing it in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those three iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team of looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan? Tell us about this Marshall Plan.
We're just starting to lay out. I mean, we're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region, how we can make sure that we are seeking federal assistance for the Olympics more broadly, but also federal assistance for the recovery efforts, and how we can galvanize the community with folks that love this community to really develop a mindset so that at scale we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency, like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
So as a guy on green screen, Gavin Newscum and that reporter really look like they're on a green screen. I mean, the lighting is just too good. Look at that again real quick.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup, and then the Super Bowl, and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those?
Like, where is that shine coming from on Gavin Newsom's head? And just like the overall lighting it's close, it's well done, it looks good, but it doesn't quite match. I don't know, am I crazy here? It just and why would they do that? Like, so he doesn't have to breathe that air that everyone else is breathing? I don't know. Conspiracy theories. But yeah, it's pretty funny that, let me jump over to the display capture here. This is from the LA website, lacity.gov. Smart LA 2028. This is what they're talking about. Let me get rid of me right here. Bye. Yeah, so here we go. Smart LA 2028, technology for a better Los Angeles. And I mean, it talks about, smart city infrastructure. Our vision for Los Angeles envisions a highly detailed and connected city in 2028, which is when they're supposed to be having the Olympics, I think the Super Bowl, and another big event. But yeah, I'll read a little bit of this. Los Angeles residents will experience an improved quality of life by leveraging technology to meet urban challenges. No longer the car capital of the world, residents will choose how they will wish to get around LA using a single digital payment platform with choices like renovated metro rail and bus systems, or micro-transit choices such as on-demand LA Now shuttles or dockless bicycles. You are own nothing, and you will eat the bugs, and you... I mean, this is like exactly where all of this is going. How technology makes us smarter. What makes a city smart? All of the city of Los Angeles, we believe that will be a smart city, one that efficiently and ethically uses secure technologies, data and resources to improve quality of life and sustainability for residents, businesses, and visitors. Efficient, choose optimal multi-purpose solutions to maximize limited government resources. Ethical, protect the city against racial or geographic inequities and negative social consequences for the public. Example, privacy and bias? What? Secure, safeguard sensitive data and prevent unauthorized access by hackers. Yeah, sure. Technology and data resources use carefully curated and integrated assets to benefit our stakeholders. Whenever you see our stakeholders, you know it's some bullshit. Quality of life and sustainability fulfill expectations identified by our stakeholders, the people who live in Los Angeles, residents, the companies that operate in Los Angeles, businesses, and the tourists who visit Los Angeles, visitors, including those with disabilities. Stronger together, equal rights for all. And while these events have been unprecedented in recent history, blah, 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 COVID-19, yeah, okay, here we go. Components of a digital and connected Los Angeles smart city infrastructure, smart city data and tool practices. So, I mean, this has been up there since 2021. It looks like probably May of 2021. This shit was an inside job. They had to wipe out a whole bunch of stuff in order to put 5G towers, infrastructure, our lamp shines at Lax Airport, more sustainability and solar panels. That it goes on and on. I mean, look, they've had this plan at 2013, 14, 15, all the way to 2018. Yeah. So you can go check that out. The link is in the description. And while you're at it, please like and subscribe, and put the notification bell on and all that stuff. We're also going to be we are uploading these to Rumble, rumble.com/DarkDox, and bitshoot.com/DarkDox. Those go up, a couple hours after I'm done with this one. It takes them a minute; they're a little slower. I get it, a lot of uploads and stuff. Moving on, here's Gavin Newscum 2.
I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist. He's the president-elect. I respect the office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement. All the resources you could hope for or imagine. Constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the the president-elect. I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt and reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that served the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
Yeah, we're almost way down.
To suspend all laws and regulations under an emergency rule, to bring in the UN treaty model for sustainable 15-minute cities starting in the Palisades, suspending everyone's property rights as a giant test of the model of the future, what the UN and the IMF and World Bank have already been doing in the third world for 80 years. This is massive. He's announced the Marshall Plan LA 2.0.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup, and then the Super Bowl, and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those three iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan? Tell us about this.
We're just starting to lay out. I mean, we're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region, how we can make sure that we are seeking federal assistance for the Olympics more broadly, but also federal assistance for the recovery efforts, and how we can galvanize the community with folks that love this community to really develop a mindset so that at scale we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency, like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
Of course, they already have the official plan. There it is, all UN directed. But he doesn't know exactly what it is yet.
Yeah. So there you have that. I think there was some overlap on those clips. But there's a lot going on there, so I'm glad I played it twice. But definitely check out that document. Yeah, this guy just continues to show ass. Here's another clip.
I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation. There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you, because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day. people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time, and you wonder where this stuff comes from, and it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done.
It's not hurricane force lies, Jack. It's hurricane force truth, and it is a storm. And we're rocking you like a hurricane.
Yeah, we're almost. Open that piece.
Climate change contributed to week of wild weather that upended life in the U.S. California. FEMA Chief Criswell, climate change to blame for California wildfires. It's your fault. Too many people. Well, I got some images and videos of a climate change. I didn't know her alias was climate change. Look at this. A fugitive from Pennsylvania was just arrested for arson in Los Angeles County. 6-year-old Gloria Mandich is accused of starting a fire near Leo Carrillo State Park in the middle of the firestorm starting. Got all these other people caught setting fires.
I apologize. I just noticed I'm having a couple of audio issues. So, yeah, this is all of the arsonists that have been setting fires that have been caught in Los Angeles.
All these videos of people setting fires. And they've now arrested over 100 people in arson. But it's back in the newspaper. So there's a lot of climate change. When somebody walks out and catches somebody dressed like a homeless person, it's being pointed out, that's what these operatives do. They use COVID wearing their masks to do this stuff as well. And they arrested over 100 Antifa in 2020 all over the West Coast setting fires, remember? And Facebook and Twitter then would block you if you pointed out a local newscast. The national news would say, it's a conspiracy theory of Alex Jones that the left is starting these fires. When tyrants...
All right, yeah, there's a background sound going on here. Let's see if I can organize this. I'm going to do a little test here. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Thank you, Gabriel. Alright, yeah, there's a background sound going on here. Let's see if I can organize this. I don't know where that's coming from. I'm going to do a little test here. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Thank you, Gabriel. I think that's a loop there. I think we're good. Yeah, so why are all these arsonists setting these fires is the question. Are they just crazy? Are they being told to? Are they being paid to? I don't know. What I do know is that if you go to the Alex Jones store, DarkDox, help out this operation, and maybe I can get a crew so I don't have to juggle all these things. It's kind of fun. I'm getting the hang of it, though. But yeah, they got some great stuff in the store. Right now, they've extended it. Any order over $35, actually 30 now, you get a free Infowars hat, which is pretty awesome. Get the CMOS gummies. They're really good. I want to try the turmeric gummies next. All the supplements are fantastic. I've tried Ultimate Gut Cleanse. Oh man, that one. If you have like issues with like gastrointestinal or like you're trying to lose weight, but you know it's not like you know it's like what it's doing is it's taking all of like the toxins and like you know bad bacteria and stuff from your gut and it's like washing it out. So you'll notice an uptick in your processes. Oh, they sold out of the limited edition Save the Frogs So you can't sleep on these things, man. They got some fun stuff over there. Shirts, all that kind of stuff. Also, support us directly at darkdox.me/shop. We got thumb drives, we got projectors, we got MP4 players that are all loaded with documentaries. We got buttons, vinyl, stickers, t-shirts, Blu-rays, comic books, posters, shop rags. Definitely check out darkdox.com. We're going to be having the post thing fixed pretty soon, so we'll be a new syndicate again with originals and stuff very shortly. All right, so that's the big idea with what was going on over at Band.video, Infowars, and the past day or so. These are from the DarkDox network. There was an explosion in Miami. Let's find out about that.
Can you believe that the explosion that just happened in Miami shook people's homes? This is breaking news. This is happening in Miami, Florida, and it is massive. They have an explosion.
So it looks like the port of Miami.
Footage is pouring in from all over. The locals that took the footage across the bay literally had their houses shake. That's how big it was. And what news is saying is it was some kind of car fire inside a shipping container.
A car fire inside of a shipping container. Okay.
Can you believe
that could be anything,
that
but
just happened in Miami?
Let's see what else we got going on. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Anything involving the port of Miami for sure. Residents stop man with large blowtorch.
Here that there was a man riding around on his bicycle with a large blowtorch, apparently attempting to set numerous old Christmas trees on fire, garbage cans with wood debris on fire. He was riding around, and some neighbors that were just being very alert about this, certainly concerned seeing all of the fires in the community. They knew that something was not right here. As he started to ride away, neighbors started to follow him. He eventually made his way up here to this intersection, and that is where a number of neighbors stepped in. Take a listen.
I had been sent a video by my daughter-in-law who lives on the first floor that an arrest was being made with a guy driving on a bicycle with a blowtorch. I didn't see this, but somebody across the street tracked down this guy through the neighborhood. He was riding around and either tackled him, and my daughter-in-law called the police, or somebody called the police, called 911, and they sent loads of cop cars out.
How did your friend intervene?
Apparently he saw him walking, and a couple of his neighbors did as well. They called the cops right away. Suspicious looking guy. They all came out of their house. They told him to stay right there, held him down, stuff like that.
They detained him.
Yeah, they detained him. That's what I heard.
So you guys, I understand you zip tied him? Is that?
Yeah.
This gentleman, I understand he seemed sort of agitated. Can you describe that?
I mean, it seemed like maybe he was on something or something. He was very like, I can't stop, I'm not putting this down, I'm doing this, and very focused on moving forward with the blowtorch, and we were like, we can't be doing that right now.
Yeah, so I mean, we have all these people coming out of the woodworks all at the same time, like it's coordinated.
Tonight, a YouTuber from
setting fire to stuff. I mean, it's pretty fishy, and I don't like it. Let's see about this video here. Yeah, here's another one. Got two cops. My neighbor noticed someone trying to light our neighborhood on fire and called the police.
No, this is crazy.
When the cops arrived, they found the fire starter, blowtorch, etc. on him, questioned him, and arrested him immediately.
I know, I can understand there, but all the way over
Exactly.
They believe he started the West Hills fire. Please don't hesitate to report any suspicious activity. Be safe. I mean, it's just rampant. Let's see what we got here. Trump lawyer Mike Davis goes scorched earth on judge after sentence, throw his Marxist ass in jail.
Don't shoot! Let him burn!
What up, Mike? How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing okay, Ben. I think I'm ready to cause controversy on your show again today. So the scribes, our biographers at Media Matters, should get ready.
You know, Mike, we should actually possibly change this image. I don't know if you can pop this image up, Killer Klein. We should change this image to you spanking a Media Matters logo, right? Because this is actually technically what you keep these people employed, Mike, and so we're thankful for that.
I didn't realize this was like a whole Benny show. Try to keep it to like original posts on the DarkDox network. No, thank you. A Wagner mercenary who crossed U.S.-Mexican border was honored in Russia weeks before his arrest. A self-confessed veteran of Russia's Wagner preliminary group, arrested for crossing into the United States from Mexico, was honored as a combat veteran weeks earlier by an organization established by Russian President Vladimir Putin, has found. Oh, the Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. That's a long name. Never heard of this outfit. Timur Prilev, 31, was detained by U.S. Border Patrol agents on January 4th. You don't need to see my mug for this sort of thing. Near the border town of Roma, Texas, after crossing the Rio Grande River into the United States, and told the agents he was a citizen of Kazakhstan, U.S. federal court records show. At the January 7th court appearance before a federal judge, McAllen, Texas, a federal prosecutor said Pralev was in possession of both Russian and Kazakh passports, cash, and a drone he carried in his backpack, a local television channel reported. And there's the white paper on that. In violation of Title 8 U.S. Code Section 1325A1. Interesting. After pleading guilty to unlawful entry into the United States, Pralev was convicted and sentenced to time served. His current whereabouts are unclear. Okay. Rocket launcher, 2 RPGs seized at Arizona-Mexico border. You see, this is why we need to do something about this border. Let's listen.
I'm shocked, but I'm not.
Peter Forcelli is a retired deputy assistant director of the ATF, who spent part of his career in Arizona.
The cartels, as they move things north, mostly humans and drugs, they use those same routes to traffic things south.
That's why he was not surprised to see that Customs and Border Protection officers seized these: a rocket launcher and 2 inert RPGs at the Nogales port of entry late last month. The most common way weapons like these get into Mexico are through what are called straw purchasers, people who buy guns and ammo and pass them off to people who smuggle them outside the country. Lots of them coming through our state.
In Arizona, the federal prosecutors there aren't very aggressive at prosecuting cases. And then number 2 is aduana, which is Mexican customs, does not inspect vehicles heading south.
So what you really want to do is make sure that we're getting to those that control the money.
Gary Restaino is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Arizona and says they have increased their efforts to prosecute firearm trafficking in the last few years.
Where I think we've got opportunity is to work more with our agency partners. That's HSI, that's ATF. Figure out which cases are good for long-term investigations.
Between 2018 and 2023, the ATF reported the number of firearms recovered in Mexico that were traced to retailers in the U.S. grew each year. Well, between August 2023 and July of last year, the Congressional Research Services estimated more than 60,000 Americans died from synthetic opioids. Many of those drugs believed to have come from Mexico and the cartels who use the weapons they get from America.
This is a human life issue because you got people dying on both sides of the border.
Because those RPGs were not live, there are no charges expected in this case, but the U.S. attorney here in Arizona says the fact that CPB officers spotted them in the first place shows they were on alert for weapons heading south. For now, reporting in studio, Zach Perletsky for Arizona's Family.
2024 has been a big year for us here in the Chandler.
RPG. These things look awesome. Anyway, mother confronts Governor Newscum in Pacific Palisades. Yeah, this video is pretty gut-wrenching.
Amid all the loss and destruction, a distraught mother whose daughter's school burned down encountered Governor Newscum during a visit to the Palisades.
And it was caught on tape, and this video aired on Sky News.
You got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants,
That's
Governor?
all being, that's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally, you know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
The governor's office says they have since spoken with that mother in order to connect her with recovery services and local support.
After I got my first plant, I was hooked.
If you've seen American Psycho, tell me he doesn't look like Patrick Bateman, that he just wants to fucking like smash her face. Like, that guy is such a psycho, man. What do we got here? Adding up the oddities, the CIA, crooks, Ruth, Jabber, Livelsberger, and the J6 pipe bomber. All right. I'm getting so sick of this fire already, so this will be a nice palate cleanse. Let's take a look.
The Cybertruck bomber, the New Orleans attacker, the first and second Trump assassins, and the January 6th pipe bomber were lone actors. But there's some coincidences. Livelsberger, Jabbar, and Routh all had ties to Fort Bragg, a known center of unconventional warfare. Both Livelsberger and Jabbar were Afghanistan Army vets, IT specialists, and used rented electric trucks from the Turo app, a direct person-to-person car rental. Jabbar, Routh, and Crooks were all donors to the Democrat PAC Act Blue. Livelsberger and Routh were both recruiting Ukrainian soldiers. Livelsberger was in a reality TV show for Green Berets. Routh was in a commercial for Ukraine's Azov Battalion, trained by our CIA and funded by BlackRock. And Crooks was in a BlackRock commercial. Here's the explanation. Livelsberger was on video charging and cleaning his truck, as anyone who planned to explode it would, pulls up the Cybertruck in front of the Vegas Trump Tower to send a message to the president that he supports, blasts his head without making a sound, and then the poorly constructed IED explodes the truck, leaving his plastic ID and paper passport lightly charred around the edges, still legible. His body burnt beyond recognition, his carbon steel gun melted, and his phone torched. But from the torched phone, the police were able to release a text message that reads like a Facebook post saying that this was not a terrorist attack. Impressive work by law enforcement, considering the FBI still can't get past the password to a teenager's phone. Now, a revealed email indicates that Levelsberger's motive was to bring attention to the secret that the recent drones had alien UFO technology, but the photo of the email wasn't taken by the recipient. And the email was sent on the 31st, but his signal safety number, which is unique to your phone and SIM card, changed on the 29th. Now, Jabbar, who earned a Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, according to the FBI, despite pledging allegiance to ISIS on Facebook before last summer, was not on the FBI's radar. But the same day as the Cybertruck explosion, Jabbar put 2 IEDs on Bourbon Street, rammed his car into foot traffic, unaliving 15 people, all while recording on his metaglasses, and was able to do this because the hydraulic steel barricades that are supposed to protect pedestrians were down, and no one knew why.
We have these hydraulic steel barriers from past events. Last Mardi Gras, this happened to an extent, maybe not terrorism, but still people getting hit in mass population with vehicles. Those barricades were not up, period. They had the flimsy orange ones that you could just push over with your finger. We actually thought it was kind of odd.
Thankfully, police unalived him before he could set off the IEDs, but just hours later, hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters in New York called for intifada and chanted, "We will honor all our martyrs." And less than 2 days after an ISIS-inspired terrorist attack, the FBI opened the trailer of a mass murderer to contamination by random reporters before the crime scene was processed, showing perfectly displayed evidence, a chemical workbench, weapons, Qurans, a Quran opened to a page about martyrdom. And only after reporter footprints and fingerprints were mixed into the crime scene did the FBI shut it down to collect evidence. And soon after that, the New Orleans assistant DA unalived himself. We got a whole tour of a hot crime scene and have yet still never seen Matthew Crooks' bedroom. In fact, that crime scene was scrubbed of all biological evidence in 3 days, and the FBI secretly cremated Crooks' body without telling local law enforcement before the investigation was complete, and his house was clean as a medical lab, and like most homes, had no silverware. We have no cell data, autopsy, toxicology report, accomplices, manifesto, background, and similarly, we know nothing about the Jan 6th pipe bomber. He waved at the Capitol Police, he had his phone on him, but the FBI said they couldn't get his cell data because it was corrupted, which we now know is a lie, according to the cell carriers as stated in the new congressional report. And the same FBI that used geolocation to sniff out all the Midwestern grannies at the Capitol like bloodhounds took 4 years to tell us that the guy was 5'7" and wore Nikes. We know nothing about the man who lugged a bag of viable bombs through D.C., planted them near 2 of the most surveilled buildings in the country the night of January 5th, even though bomb-sniffing dogs walked by them and found nothing. But they were found just in time to cause a chaotic lockdown when Garland Younger, who is tied to law enforcement and FirstNet, which is FBI-funded, was doing laundry in the alley between the RNC and Capitol Hill Club, looked down and saw an unhidden ticking pipe bomb, went to go tell security, and ran back towards the bomb, as anyone would. Now, this happened at almost the same time that the other bomb was found by a plainclothes Fed, and almost the same time as the first breach of the Capitol. Perhaps a Fedsurrection, according to the police chief himself. And while no officer passed away on Jan 6th, months later, 4 unalived themselves. 1 was unalived from natural causes, and 1 mysteriously unalived shortly before the hearing. And it's just now, right when the populists are gaining power, and the same day that the Senate Republicans release a devastating report on the pipe bomber oddities, that the FBI spews new information and evidence, even if it is 1 frame per second. All of these seem a little too made for TV, and while we can't be sure, it is not unreasonable to conclude that these people were probably not lone actors. It is not unreasonable to conclude that they were probably tortured souls easily manipulated and egged on to be used as pawns by our own agencies, whether they knew it or not. And Americans know that this is nothing new. We have mountains of evidence that the JFK assassination was an inside job because JFK went after the banks. We have mountains of evidence that 9/11 was an inside job because we needed an excuse to attack Saddam Hussein for not cooperating and overthrowing the dictator that we put in Iraq. Both lies were successfully sold to the public for years. But the lies are getting harder to sell because for the first time in human history, the media is not a single entity. For the first time, independent journalists have platforms to poke holes in the media narrative. The FBI didn't get sloppy. Watching a movie, you'd never guess 10 feet to the left of set is trash, equipment, staff, and when the mainstream media were the only directors, you didn't see the whole set. And now for the first time, we have more camera angles, and we're allowed to share them. And I'm sure that the cover-ups will continue to get better, but we the people will continue to get better too. You are now the media, and for the sake of we the people, speak. The Cybertruck bomber, the New Orleans attacker, the
Oh, I didn't have my mic on. Yeah, that was really good. Definitely check them out. The worldwide fog story update. Turns out it's unhealthy. Imagine that. Yeah. So that fog that was here like around New Year's, apparently people are getting sick. Let's take a look.
So there's an air quality alert in Central Florida. I'm reading this from the Tampa Bay Times. Basically, there was an alert that is in effect throughout Wednesday, and the residents are advised to basically not go outside. Now, this is the fog that we've been experiencing, and listen to this. In Tampa, Florida, residents across Hillsborough County are under an air quality alert through midnight Wednesday due to elevated fine particulate levels. What does that mean? Also, they're telling people that are elderly or people with respiratory conditions should limit their outdoor activities to minimize exposure. Now, this is a video that I took of a blimp in the sky on the way to a New Year's celebration in Central Florida. Look at that air, you know? And this is another video that I found in Florida. This was on 12:30, and look at that. It almost looks like snow, but that's definitely particles. So my question to you guys is, where are you based out of? Comment below and tell me where you are, what your air quality is like. Also, make sure you're subscribing to this account, and hey guys, just stay prayed up is all I can say.
Yeah, so I definitely experienced this. I filmed it. I need to dredge that up from the DarkDox network because, I mean, that was like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, from my balcony, I could see that there was this crazy fog, and it was so thick that I couldn't even see the power plants, which are, I don't know, like 2 miles away. You know, you can see them even when it's like really cloudy or when it's like pouring rain. Even when like normal fog's around, but like you couldn't even see the lights. Like an airplane would not be able to see the blinking lights of the power plant. And I didn't notice any breathing problems or anything personally, but I don't know. It's something to definitely keep an eye on. Thanks for posting that, Johnny. At, what is this, on X? I'm gonna follow this guy too, so I can keep up on that. What else we got? People doing their own testing of the fog. Okay, here's another one.
Yo guys, looks like I'm recording. So I want to update all my people on the fog situation that's been happening everywhere across the globe almost. You know what it turns out? For those of my people who have microscopes in their home labs, right? The reason why a sample of the fog didn't really show any results is quite simple. Your microscopes simply aren't advanced enough. So some of my people's more advanced industrial microscopes gave us some pretty interesting and wild results, right? So what was happening across the globe for a week or so, we really were all inhaling toxic fog. And the source of most of the toxins, besides all the pollution that mankind, anyway, extracts into the atmosphere and the air, right? We had like dangerous levels of volcanic sulfur dioxide within the fog. That's the reason it was so dry, and there was no humidity really to the fog, right? So when we look at the volcanic activity sensor data for the past 2 weeks, right, there really hasn't been that many active volcanoes across the globe at the same time before. And just as a freak of nature accident, we had this fog, and the volcanic ash and fumes together with fog really does create a very dangerous fucking situation, really, to be honest. Now, if you're like me...
Alright, this is very interesting, but he talks even slower than me. It's, definitely something to... I'm gonna follow all these people so I can keep an eye on this stuff. Samples from the thick, unusual fog that I shared. What? No. Subscribe? No. Sorry. So samples from the thick, unusual fog that I shared a video here in Florida in the backyard. Okay, that was that one. And many states had experience were taken to a lab for testing. They found it was saturated with Sateria marcens bacteria, also considered a parasite. This act of releasing these pathogens into society should be considered biological warfare. I mean, by definition, right? Times of Sateria marcensis, I think that's it, infections observed in humanity can cause urinary tract infections, bloodstream infections, pneumonia, ocular infections, respiratory tract infections, meningitis, wound infections, and osteomyelitis. Never heard of that one. Isn't it strange that large amounts of people have been ill the past week? That is true. Yet they're preparing to take us to a next vaccine for another virus, reposted from a sudden and unexpected, aka too baffled. I'll tag below. Thank you. Like I stated days ago, the chemical fog is saturated with trillions of parasites. Well, Serrata marcescens bacteria are parasites, bacteriophages, and pathogens. So now you have it, friends. They dumped millions of tons of biological warfare on us again. Now there's a poll here. Have you had any fog or strange headaches or sickness in your area that don't seem normal? Let me know below. And 70% said yes, I have, of 1,232 votes. Naples, Florida, checking in. I developed an upper respiratory infection 2 days ago. Now that you mention it, I have had like a kind of a pressure on my chest, I get upper respiratory. I was noticing it. I thought I was just smoking too much, but I don't know. Thinking of you. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely something we need to keep an eye on. Thank you for posting this. Erin Elizabeth Health Nut News at Unhealthy Truth. It's a good handle you got there. 2 Humvees recovered after thieves cut fence, steal Humvees, equipment from California Armory Reserve. This is from January, updated in January 11th. The 2 soft Humvees were recovered in Santa Ana and Orange. All the equipment and the armored Humvees are still missing. The 2 Humvees were recovered. All of the equipment and the armored Humvee. Oh, okay, there's an armored Humvee as well. 3 Humvees were stolen from the Army Reserve Center in Tustin, along with other military equipment, according to police statement. Wednesday, January 8th, between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m., unknown suspects entered a storage warehouse at the center. So yeah, fog of war, fog of fire. Here's some more fog analysis. Attention biologists and epidemiologists. Serratia marcensis, typically found in hospital nursing homes. Scientific classification, Yersinia, the causative agent of plague. They want to form a working group of professionals to continue to investigate. And here's the lab results. Gross. They look like red hots. Nosocomial infections, also called healthcare associated infections or HAIs, are infections you can get while in a healthcare facility. HAIs may occur after a medical or surgical procedure. They can be mild or life-threatening. You can avoid most monocomial infections with diligent infection prevention efforts. That was posted by Dory at DOD_the_OG. Tina posted this over at the DarkDox network. Air Force Maui Optical and Supercomputing Amos sites. This is the afresearchlab.com. This had something to do with the Maui fires, I think. Maui face surveillance system. Interesting stuff. I need to dig a little deeper into that one. DOJ releases Special Counsel David Weiss report on Hunter Biden. The Department of Justice released a final report from the Special Counsel David Weiss on Hunter Biden's gun and tax crimes. The report was expected to be released on Monday night and was not anticipated to include major revelations. President Joe Biden pardoned his son in early December, despite previously stating he would not do so during the 2024 campaign. Biden described the prosecution of his son a miscarriage of justice, which prosecutors disputed in a later filing. Hunter was found guilty on 3 felony firearm offenses and charged with federal tax crimes for failing to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes. Ugh. Interesting. So, speaking of pedophiles, here's a report on some more of that. Ugh.
You are not allowed to charge an illegal alien with child molestation or rape, because under the law that Congress hasn't changed, they want that changed by executive fiat, they're not following it, we'll have to deport them. And it's broken all over the news. This is old news. It's on the books. But it came out last week that Biden and the UK government, the Canadian government, and the Australian government, that their ministers trained the judges and passed regulations, not laws, that you will not indict them for child rape or rape because we do not want to deport them. And all this is interconnected. The head of terrorism, counterterrorism in the UK, has been instructed by Keir Starmer to criminally investigate Elon Musk as a national security threat for exposing their giant pedophile rings, which, again, have been known for those in the know, and it's been more and more understood, but Musk took it to a whole other level, and they've arrested like 8 or 9 this week, high-level Labor Party leaders, including the former defense minister and a member of parliament, for crimes against children, serious ones. And I've got a whole stack on that. But again, it is a threat to the state, not the legitimate government of the UK or legitimate government of Australia or legitimate government of Canada or the United States. We, the people, our republic, or their systems. It's a threat to the criminals that have hijacked those governments for decades and used pedophilia as their control system, where I've told you for decades, you don't get put in a position of real power in their system unless you're a pedophile. So they can burn you anytime they want. They know you're sick and immoral and will do anything for access to children. And it's come out that in West Germany, the CIA put pedophiles in control. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they abused more than 30,000 children. It's come out the CIA in Afghanistan put on purpose pedophiles in control of most of the cities and town councils. And it came out because they could, quote, control them the best. This is policy. And I've been saying this for decades, and it's a fact, but now Elon Musk, so many posts, I can't even keep track of them, is showing all the arrests just this week of the defense minister, the defense minister, who was all over TV saying Elon Musk is a threat and a criminal, and then he gets busted trying to have sex with a little boy.
All right, well, that about does it for this installment of DarkDox Digest. Again, please support Alex Jones at thealexjonesstore.com/DarkDox in order for us to get 10% of the purchase. So if you spend $50 there, we get $5, and then I get to, make more merchandise and do cool things for you guys. So yeah, definitely consider getting something over there or darkdox.me. This was a pretty cool video that they had, so I'll leave you guys with this to end the episode.